Lucy Spraggan, how are you? Thanks very much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to hear an accent that's not a local accent. Don't get to speak to anyone who doesn't sound like me at the moment.
I know. It's anything out of the norm is different or really good, these days, a bit of change. So we're here to talk about your brand new album Choices, which is coming out very soon. But before we get into that there, just so we going back a bit, when did you sort of develop your love for music and when did you decide to pick up a guitar?
I started writing songs. Well, actually, first started playing the guitar when I was about 10. And the only reason I did that is because my brother played guitar really well. And I was like, I wish I could do that.
Mhm.
And I started writing songs when I was about 12. And I did my first show when I was 12. First, like, proper little festival. But it's been forever, really, as long as I can remember.
Your new album Choices is coming out in February 26th. It's been put back a few times. So are you glad it's finally coming out?
Yeah, now I'm just like, I just want people to hear it. I want it to like get off my back because it's like carrying around a bit of a secret, really. And trying to keep it like every single one of my friends has had a link to this album. I'm like, listen to it and tell me what you think. But once it's out there, yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, well, it's a really good album. I have been enjoying it, and we'll get into more depth about the songs. It's a more mature sound for you, from your previous work. It deals with subjects like alcohol, unfortunately, a divorce, and you've taken up exercise. Um, did you find writing about those experiences on the album therapeutic?
Yeah, I mean, I've always found writing cathartic. It's like what I do with emotions. Whenever my friends are like upset or whatever, I'm like, what do you do with that? Because I just write, and it is definitely an outlet. Like I wrote the song sober, but I'm 18 months sober, and I wrote that the week that I got sober because I wanted to like freeze in time the reasons why I'm sober. And for me, the best way to do that is with a song because I can always go back to the emotion in it.
Yeah, well, that's a great track, and congratulations for being sober for 18 months. How
Thank you
does it
very much.
feel? How does it feel? Do you ever get an urge to have alcohol at all, or?
Really, like the reason that I stopped drinking is because I used alcohol as a crutch. Is like if I needed to escape from feeling a certain way, then I would drink. Like I just have a beer, take the edge off.
Mhm.
And really, what I needed to do was deal with my emotions. So whenever I might think, oh, I would love to have a beer, I know that I'm just about to deflect how I'm feeling. So instead, I have to sit there and deal with it, which is a lot of effort. But for me, it's better to be sober than it is to be putting everything off for the rest of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done on that. You've released a few
Thank
singles
you.
from the album so far, and they've done really well. Over 1 million plays on Spotify. Even before the album's out. You know,
2 million. It's 2 million just as of now. I got told today.
it's 2 million. Well, obviously it seems well even better.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, whoa, because there's only, what, 5 songs that have been released. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Let's talk about some of my favorite ones.
Great.
Your latest single, Animals. What can you tell me about that? What's the background in that track?
I think when you have a last couple of years like mine, there's like a lot of people. I've fallen out with a lot of people and I've been prodded and poked by a lot of people and I've been called a lot of names. And I think eventually you stop if you're constantly poked, people constantly call you names. Eventually you just stop caring. And I wrote Animal, I realized that I was like, if you call me a bitch, that is exactly what I'm gonna be. So the song is like, you call me an animal, you're absolutely right. That is what I'm gonna become. And like you're not going to keep me down, and that's something I really wanted to put across the whole record.
Yeah, yeah. Is that from people online poking at you, or is it people in your personal life, or
It's
ever
kind of
in general?
a mixture of both, really. I mean, I get a lot of abuse online, but none of it really matters. But it's in general. It's not just reserved for like dealing with one set of people. It's my mantra in life now.
Hmm.
It's I will treat people the way they treat me,
Yeah.
and that's what Animal is about.
Well, my favorite track is the title track, choices, Don't Be Afraid. What can you tell me about that? I know I know what it's about, but just for the purpose of this, I would like to hear what it is.
Well, it's about being your true, authentic self. Choices. There are so many people who are living not actually being who they are, and there are so many reasons why. I was not living who I was because I was drinking so much. I wasn't dealing with my emotions. There are people out there who are living lives that they can't come out as gay. They can't live as part of a religion that they have faith in. And this song is about really not just being who you are, but accepting everybody else. And I think we've kind of taken a step back in society, like recently. You can see a lot of people, trans people, gay people, there's a lot of racism. We're kind of walking backwards. And I want that message of that song to be like, we need to be more accepting.
Yeah, absolutely, especially during these times. You know, I completely agree.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know you've taken up running, and I think there's two songs on the album. Really, there's obviously Run, and Run to the Hills. You know, which are two great tracks. What made you decide to take up running? Because believe it or not, you wouldn't think by looking at me, but I used to be a runner myself, and I need to get back into it. You know, so
You're still a runner. You can't. You're still a runner at heart.
No, I am. I really am, and I miss it. It's just doing all this here all the time. I just do not have a minute, you know. But I've had one run this year, and that's it. And it was only about 3 miles, just trying to get back into it again, to brush the cobwebs off. But never mind me. What about you? How did you get? How did you get into it?
Well, I was 6 months sober, and I went on a trip to Vegas with my friends, and that's a big test of sobriety, being in Vegas.
Yeah.
And like we've been out all night. I was like, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I got into bed, and I couldn't sleep because of the time difference, and I had loads of Red Bulls, and something just said, you need to run, which is bizarre because I've never run in my life. And so I ran, and I did 2.4K. I got back, I nearly threw up. I thought I was going to die. I said, I'm never doing that again. And then the next day I went again, and I went again. And then 6 weeks later, I did my first 10K. And then about 6 weeks after that, I did my first half marathon.
After 6 weeks?
And I just kept running.
After 6 weeks, you did a half marathon? That's amazing.
I did 6 weeks 10K, and then 6 weeks after that, half marathon.
Wow, that is very good. And how many miles would you do a week now?
At the moment, I'm training twice a day, so I'm seeing how strong I can get in 8 weeks. So I'm like resistance training a lot, but generally speaking, I mean, in the first lockdown, I was running like up to 50K a week.
Wow.
I was obsessed. I used it definitely as like it was a full outlet for me, you know, like I would just knuckle down and run and listen to music, because in that first lockdown, you know, not touring was insane. I had nothing else to do, so I just ran.
Well, you mentioned music. I cannot go running without music. I know some people can. So what will be on your playlist for to go out for a run?
I've got a playlist called Spraggan's running playlist on Spotify that I made public. So it's got like 2,500 followers on it now, just for people that want to listen to it. But it's like, it's a lot of pop music. There's some Bollywood music, which is something that I love working out to because of the energy of it. I did a playlist that was a half marathon pacer, so I knew that when I got to certain songs, I should be at certain points. I just love, like, you know, you could be on the 12th mile or something, and a song comes on, and all of a sudden you've got more energy. And music's amazing for running.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I do go back to run, I actually spend more time, maybe about 20 minutes before I go for a run, trying to choose what I'm going to listen to. And it does my head. There's times of just, I really do. Getting back to the album, what's the most important song for you on the album? The one that means the most?
I think it's hard to like cut them up, because some of them are really emotional and some of them are really like, it's a real insight into the kind of things that I've been dealing with. So they all have a different level of importance, but I would say that choices really is the like resolve of the record. The
Mhm.
don't be afraid of being you is the message of this, and
Mhm.
so I think that one is the most important.
Mhm. No, good choice. As I said, it's my favorite track on the album. Uh, Can you remember what was the first song you ever wrote and you thought to yourself, "This is a really good song"?
It was called the first song I ever wrote is called PIY. It was called Planet Yourself, and it was so dark. It was like a very, very depressing E minor song that my mum heard when I was 12, and she was like, "What is wrong with you?" Um, but yeah, I was like 12, and I used to write songs about my teachers at school that people would like just to make people laugh, and I've been writing songs for forever.
And has your songwriting method or process changed much over the years, or is it pretty much the same?
I think it stays the same. I mean, most songs start with a lyric, like a resolve end of a chorus, maybe, or
Mhm.
yeah, it's always a lyrical idea and then that turns into a melody. Apart from with Animal, I wrote that while I was skipping.
It's good.
I was listening to Bollywood music and I
Right.
was skipping, and there's this song called Morning Bank that has a sitar riff in it. And I was like, I love that. And so that's where the came from.
Hmm. No, it's a class tune. And whenever it's safe to do so, will you plan on getting back out onto the road and letting everyone hear the songs live?
Yeah, 100%. Like, we've had to cancel Australian tours, European tours, UK, US. And so everything's just like backlogging. There's going to be at least 2 years worth of touring to do when this is all done.
Yeah, but the thing is, everybody's going to be out on the road. Every artist
Yeah,
band.
people are going to have to go to 2 shows a night.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't not mention the X Factor, obviously. You became a household name after playing your amazing performance of the song last night. What inspired you to decide to go and audition for the show?
Well, someone asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, absolutely not. That's just not something I would ever do, unless I could play my own songs. And then, yeah, I had to fight really, really, really hard to get to play my own songs, and I did. And I kind of thought, well, maybe I could change it. You know, maybe people won't see me as just another X Factor contestant. But it's taken me nearly a decade to be taken seriously,
Hmm.
um, and like that's just how it is. But I guess when I see an opportunity, I'm not one to really ever turn it down. So I
Hmm.
think that's just the nature of me.
And I mean, I think a few series after that, anyone could sing their own song on the X Factor. So you were probably the first person to do it.
I was the first person. It was the 10 years, to first person in 10 years to write their own stuff and play it on there. But I mean, everything has to change. I think
Yeah,
it's good to let people play their own songs. I mean, that's the point, isn't it?
yeah. And what a performance! I watched it again today, and it was fantastic. Absolutely amazing. It, it,
I just didn't really know what was going to happen, and
yeah.
that whole thing was a total whirlwind. The only reason I went on there was because I thought, oh, I'll be playing to an arena, so maybe I'll get like a few likes on Facebook. And then my audition was the fourth most watched video in the world that year.
Wow, was it? There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Um, and once you got through, what was going through your head every week when you were going to step onto the stage and there's millions of people at home watching? Did you think about that?
Uh, Mainly that the sound was just awful on stage. That was what I was thinking every time. I just couldn't hear anything. It's a TV studio, so like it's not built for music. It wasn't what I was used to.
Right. Well, I thought it would have been like state of the art sound. And you were also
Love it.
the first X Factor contestant that have a top 40 single, an album. So that's an
Yeah.
achievement.
Yeah, well that was funny because we were asked if we had any music like released or whatever, and I sort of misunderstood the question. So I'd released an album a year before I'd been on the show, and I've been releasing music since like 2009 or 8. So
Hmm.
it was just out there and it got picked up by everyone. It was amazing.
Yeah. I have a few more questions, and I like to ask all my guests these questions. Out of all the music in your collection, which artist or band do you have the most albums by?
Hmm. It's probably between Don McLean and Kirsty McCall. I
Oh,
love like older music, like singer-songwriter stuff. So Kirsty McCall, I've got like that's my whole phone is full of. Um, yeah, I imagine.
yeah, I like a bit of Kirsty
I
myself.
feel like people aren't as prolific nowadays. Like you can look back on like a 30-year-old's career from the 90s, and they would have had like 5, 6 albums out. Whereas I feel like artists nowadays in their 30s, or there's only tends to be like maybe 3 records.
Yeah, yeah. And you're quite prolific yourself. I mean, I'm sure now that the album was finished maybe last year, have you written any more songs since that?
Yeah, I'm always writing bits and pieces. There's melodies floating around everywhere. I really just want to get started with the next record, to be honest. I've got nothing better to do with my time.
And one more, what have you been listening to recently? You could recommend to anyone watching?
I really love Circa Waves. They're a good band to run to. And again, there's this playlist on Spotify called Bollywood Workout. And if anyone likes working out to high energy music, I can't recommend that playlist enough. It's amazing.
And what was the other one that you had on Spotify for running? What's it called?
Oh, Spraggan's Running Tracks.
Right. I'm going to check that out whenever I start running again.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one. You'll like it.
Absolutely. I really need to. So you're inspiring me to get out there and get the trainers on and get out there. And I'm 46, so I'll only be going easy at the start. A few miles, 3 miles will do, and then just build it up.
Anything is good. Running's just good for your soul.
It is. And do you find when you're running, you just switch off, but you sort everything out in your head, and any issues you have, or oh, I need to pay this bill, I need to do that. You just go into a complete zone. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. And I work out, so I do a resistance training for like an hour and a half every morning. And I don't think about anything, but for some reason afterwards, everything is stacked up a little bit neater. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely true. People should get into it. Well, Lucy, listen, thanks very much for taking the time. We really enjoyed talking to you. I'm really enjoying the album, and I wish you all the best with the album. Hope it's a great success.
Thank you so much. And
hopefully,
I'll hopefully speak to you when the next one's out.
Yes, and hopefully you'll be out on the road and you'll be over in Belfast or Dublin or whatever at some stage.
100%, 100%, and I can't wait. I'll see you there.
Good. Well, listen, have a good night. And again, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much. Bye.
All right, Lucy, bye-bye.